Hi grade threes, Mr. O'Leary here. Welcome to week 7 of writing and the first lesson for this week. I hope you had a really good weekend and I'm looking forward to some of the writing you do this week. It's been quite good and quite impressive and I want to keep going, so I look forward to watching what you do. So over the last few weeks we've looked at connectives for 1 week, well actually 2 because we had 1 week at school as well. And then the last couple of weeks we've looked at openers. So today we're going to shift our focus, and for the next couple of weeks we're going to shift our focus a little bit towards punctuation and the green P. And in particular, we're going to look at this learning focus, to use commas in my writing. So I've decided that I'm just going to concentrate on 3 types of commas that you can use, or 3 times that you need to use commas, because there's quite a few different times, and there's actually, I think, more than 10. So I had to have a bit of a look, but I think there's more than 10 different times that you need to use a comma. So some of them we do more often. So I've tried to focus on 3 that I think we do a lot in our writing as grade 3 students, and it will get us a good starting point. Some of them you might even already do, which would be awesome. So that would be just about you practicing what you're doing. So the success criteria is I can use commas before or after someone speaks in my writing, when I use more than 2 words to describe something, when 2 parts of my sentence are different. Okay, you'll see this in a moment. So I've done up one of these little cheat sheets almost of what they actually are. So when you are writing a series of words in the description, we need to use a comma. So I'm talking about more than 2 words, okay? So once you start using more than 2 words, you have to use a comma. It's kind of like a list, but it might just be a description, okay? So do you want some cakes, candles, or ice cream? So if to use a comma in there, that one is an example of a bit of a list. And I've got more than 2 things, so I have to put the comma between the first and the second thing. If there are 4 things, I would have to put a comma here after the second thing, and then the or the and. Normally it's an or and and. Down this one, see, listen, and be silent, and you will live in peace. So this is actually an interesting one because it connects to the yellow as well, which I'll show you. But again, 3 things: see, listen, and be silent, and you will live in peace. That's a common one, eh? Now this is interesting, this next one. So to connect 2 parts of a sentence that are not related. So you've seen this in example, they are kind of related, but the sentence moves in a different direction. And this one here actually does it as well. That's why there's a comma after silent. It's an old car, but it's very reliable. So I've highlighted that but in red to show you that it's a connective, and we've got to put the comma in before we use that word, okay? So it becomes a simple sentence, turns a simple sentence into a compound sentence as well, doesn't it? I was feeling hungry, so I made myself a sandwich, okay? So it's kind of like we're moving in a new direction, we've got to use a comma before the connective. In here, just so you understand what I was saying, see, listen, and be silent, and you will live in peace. So we're going in a slightly different direction, and that and is the connective word. And the last one, which we did actually practice a little bit last week, and possibly the week before as well, but when someone's talking in your writing and you've used what they call quotation marks or talking marks, you have to use a comma. So here it says, I don't think I should do that, comma, he laughed. So before the last quotation mark and before the end of the person speaking, you have to use a comma. But it can also work like this. He asked, comma, do you want me to go with you? Question mark. So it's before that person spoke as well. So I guess it's used to give us a pause before that person or your character has something to say. So it does relate a little bit to our reading. And it says down the bottom, use a comma either at the end or before you start using talking marks. So we did practice that a little bit last time. So what I want you to do is the same kind of thing. I want you to practice the 3 different types of commas that you can use. Here's some of my examples. I knew I needed milk, bread, and orange juice. So I thought a shopping list works quite well, more than 3 things. I'm so happy I could laugh. So here's an example of somebody speaking. I cried to my friend. And I made sure I used cried rather than said, because we know that said isn't in our writing anymore. And lastly, it was, what have I forgotten? A dark looking place, but I knew it wasn't haunted. So that's an example where we're using the connective word, and I've used a comma here, okay? Hopefully that makes sense to you all. It may be a little bit new, some of it, maybe it's not. Some of you might think, I already do that in my writing. Well, this is all great practice for you. One of the things that I want you to do is make sure you highlight the different parts of the sentence. I noticed that when I wrote my sentences, I didn't use a lot of good vocabulary. I actually only had 1 yellow word in the whole list, whole 3 sentences I wrote. So to me, I probably need to lift my game a little bit in my vocabulary. So have a good think about that. Choose great words in your writing, because great words make great writing. Thanks, guys.